Hi, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing some fall baking. I'm going to be making pumpkin scones. The last pumpkin scone recipes I made, had gluten and dairy in them, but this recipe that I'm making they are dairy free and gluten free because I'm dairy free and gluten free because I have some stomach issues. But this recipe is going to be like vegan, I think. So I found it online. It uses gluten-free flour in it, so I'm going to be making that recipe. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be trying this recipe out. This recipe, I can link it down below. It's from the Saucy Kitchen. So yeah, let's get into baking. I'm going to get my stuff out that I need. Okay, we have a bowl. Make sure you wash your hands. So we're gonna add in here, have my gluten-free flour, because the flour's gonna get the one that Robin Hood brand, but I got this from the Bob's Red Meal brand because, well, I got it because it called for xanthan gum in it, and the Robin Hood brand already had xanthan gum in it, so I just got this one. So, and this one is made with garbanzo bean flour, potato starch, tapioca flour, whole grain, sorghum flour, and fava bean flour. And cups here we need 1 1/3 and I've never made this recipe before. I've made like I said before, I've made pumpkin scones before and regular scones. I had this really good regular scone recipe that we made when I was in the professional cook program, because recently I just became gluten-free. The whole time I was in the professional cook program, I was not gluten-free or dairy-free. I just recently became that gluten-free. 3 of these. 1. I would normally put an apron on, but I'm not going to be wearing an apron because then I have to go down to my room to get my apron, but I'm just going to be wearing this outfit. So, 2. No, 1 more. Yeah. Now I have flour. Now you need to add xanthan gum in it. That's why I bought this one, because this one doesn't have xanthan gum inside this flour that I bought, but the other one, the Robin Hood brand, does have xanthan gum in it, but this one asks you to add xanthan gum. It has a measurement in here, but the first amount of flour that I added in was 1 1 1/3 cups of flour. Now we're gonna add 1 1¼ teaspoons of xanthan gum inside with the flour. I clearly did not measure out the right amount of xanthan gum here. And I need to measure out more. Because before I was waiting for the xanthan gum to get to room temperature, because I read online you're not supposed to put your xanthan gum inside the fridge, even though this one says keep refrigerated. But xanthan gum lasts a long time. 1. Xanthan gum, added it in. Though it says use a whisk, I'm going to use a fork. Sugar. It says to add a 1/2 cup of brown sugar, or 1/2 cup brown sugar or coconut sugar. I'm going to use brown sugar. Yeah, we only have dark brown sugar. We don't have any coconut sugar too, even though we had that before. So I'm just going to add some dark brown sugar because that's all we have here. Hopefully it doesn't change the recipe, because I know baking you have to be exact, but well, we don't. So you know, sometimes with brown sugar, sometimes people put like apples inside, you know, to keep it, or something else. I forget what else, but you keep it from like, you know, like getting super hard. So far I have 3/4 cups of flour, 1 1/4 teaspoons of xanthan gum, and 1/2 cup of brown sugar. half a teaspoon of salt. Okay, just 1.5 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice. Here's some pumpkin pie spice that I made here. I found the recipe. I can link this recipe and the pumpkin pie spice down below. Yeah, this pumpkin pie spice recipe that I made has 3 tablespoons of cinnamon, ground cinnamon, 2 teaspoons of ground ginger, 2 teaspoons ground nutmeg, 1 teaspoon allspice, and 1 teaspoon of ground cloves. It calls for 1.5 teaspoons of the pumpkin pie spice. It calls for coconut oil. You can add that in. It calls for half a cup of coconut oil, but I'm gonna add a half a cup of vegan butter because I bought vegan butter yesterday, thinking that we need vegan butter for this recipe. So I'm gonna add that in, and it does have coconut oil as one of the ingredients inside the vegan butter. So I'm gonna add, and I put in the freezer because I know with regular scones, you want your scones to be you want the butter to be very cold. It calls for a 1/4 cup. I looked it up. It says you can add the same amount of butter that you do with coconut oil. And I'm gonna grate this. You might think I'm crazy by grating it in, but I'm not, because I found it in a different recipe, like the ones that I do make up, the regular pumpkin scones that I make. It says to grate it in. I do have another one for these cheese scones, but you can add other fruit in that we made at school and was in the professional cook program. We made those, and those are pretty good. Those are my other favorite scones. Sally Baking Addiction said to add grated in. Even though I said I wasn't going to add that in because I already added vegan butter in, but I'm going to add that. The reason I don't like using coconut oil a lot is because it's very high in saturated fat. Okay, now we add some coconut milk in. I have this old coconut milk that was in the fridge for a while, but let me taste it. I'm just going to use that coconut milk. Half a cup of coconut milk. You see, I need to mix it up more with my hands. Now I'm going to add the coconut milk inside the bowl and the pumpkin puree. I'm more of a cooking person than a baker. I add half a cup of coconut milk in. In the butter, when I added that in, you added a 1/4 cup in, but I added a little bit more and some coconut oil. Even though in the recipe it calls for a 1/4 cup of coconut oil, but I use this vegan butter. Half a cup of pumpkin puree. I was either going to make a pumpkin loaf or muffins or something like that, but I decided to make scones because I remember making scones before. I thought were really yummy. Stir until it forms a dough. Oh, I forgot baking powder. 1 tablespoon of baking powder. Oh my god. I almost made this a fail because I forgot to add baking powder. I remember once at school we were doing like an exam practice and I forgot to add baking powder in. Well, I added I meant to say I added baking soda instead of baking powder in, and it was like a fail. Well, it wasn't a fail, but it was like soda-y tasting. Okay, now we have baking powder, and hopefully it turns out now. That's really thick. Hopefully this is sweet enough. Maybe I could add more sugar in it to make it more sweeter. Maybe. Or maybe I shouldn't do that because sometimes it makes it a fail, the recipe. Like, if you add more sugar in. I just added a tiny bit in. But it might be a fail because I was in the professional cooking program before. why I say it like that, but and you're not supposed to add lots of like extra sugar in, because it could ruin the recipe. I would like, you know, make it like say add more sugar in, like the cookies like flatten out and be like weird shaped. There was like barely any pumpkin, but you can only get pumpkin. I only saw pumpkin puree at the store in big jars like this. The first thing we made was Thai. We made homemade Thai crust, and then we made Thai, and I made pumpkin pie. It was so good. Had to do an interview to get into the program, but I was doing an extra year, like an overage year. I graduated in 2020, but last year I did an overage year to be in the program, even though it's normally you would do it in grade 11 or grade 12. I might do it on the table because you need to flour down the surface. I have a pan here, you can't see me, but we're gonna put parchment paper on it. Parchment paper on that, and now I'm gonna do my own technique, which this one doesn't call. It calls some weird technique. They put flour on it, then flatten it down. No, I'm just gonna do this technique that I know how to do. You put it down more, where you put flour on here. Flour is on here. So on my hands too. And some of my hands, and we're going to take this out and plop it right. Flour on my hands, and we're going to knead it, but we need flour on it. It's very moist. Instead of trying to roll it out, it was like kind of not like hard, like, you know, again, like a floury dough, like how it would with regular scones. I just took it, the whole dough, and flattened it out and cut it up into pieces on the parchment paper like the recipe said. It was so much easier. And I added it into, I put it into this here, and now it says to put it in the fridge for like 20 minutes. I might do 15. Person on the review, well, on the review, on the recipe reviews, it said that it didn't turn out because like you're supposed to put it in the oven right away, but I'm going to be following the recipe, maybe do it for 15 minutes instead of 20. Time to clean up. I'm going to be preheating the oven to 400 degrees. Check if there's like a pan in the oven. There is, because my mom dries her pans in the oven so they won't get rusty. Now it takes a while for the oven to preheat, so it's preheating until it gets to 400 degrees. Switch it off, and then I'm going to put a new parchment paper underneath here because there's all flour on here. So I'm going to try and switch it to another pan because I don't want this, it's going to be all burning in the oven when it's in this, like, when there's like powder on here, it's likely for it to burn. So I'm going to be switching it to another, taking them off and putting new parchment paper underneath. That's what I'm saying. And I'm going to pick up this arugula that fell down. Put it onto another parchment paper. I didn't have to show you that, but like to know what the process is because my camera is about to die, so I'm trying to minimize, like, and save the battery so I can finish up this video with it with one bar. So it looks like that, and I'm going to put them in the oven. About this step, you're going to take some sugar. I sugar here, but it's supposed to be like coarse sugar, but I don't really have coarse sugar. And you're gonna take it and you're gonna sprinkle it on top. One step I forgot to do, but this recipe doesn't call for it, but you would brush it with heavy cream, brush the tops with it, and then you would put, like, if it was savory, you would put salt on, sea salt, like coarse salt on top, and then with sweet ones you would put like a coarse sugar on top, but I forgot to brush them. But this recipe ain't calling for this, but I might do anyways. But now we're going backwards because I already put sugar on it. I could use coconut milk. And now you would put the sugar on top. So yeah, I forgot about this. And I was just using this leftover oat creamer that we have in the fridge on top of it. Just to do it, bake it for 22 minutes. So I'm gonna put the 22 minutes. And you should check it in between to make sure it's not burning or anything. Okay, next I'm gonna make icing for the top of them. They look pretty good. I'll show you them. I don't want the camera to see what they look like. They look pretty good. They rised up a lot. They look pretty yummy. Okay, for the icing, you need half a cup, but I don't know if you need to make that much icing. I don't know. Kind of lumpy. I might need to sift it because it's a bit lumpy. This is. Okay, well, I sifted the icing sugar because it was a bit lumpy, so that's what I did with the half a cup of icing sugar. Now, this doesn't call for it, but in one of the recipes that I saw, a different recipe, they made like a pumpkin drizzle on top of it, icing. And they smeared it on top of this, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna make a drizzle. Like they did too. They did a drizzle and the icing, like flat on. I think that's enough. Just add a little bit in, a couple spoonfuls, and just eyeball everything for this icing. Look, mine's a bit darker because I added the pumpkin in and it looks a lot darker. It'd be lighter, but it's not just drizzle down. This last minute, something else that I might make to go with this, a drink, because I opened up this pumpkin puree, this pumpkin spice latte. Yeah, because I have this jar open and I was thinking about, oh, what else can I use with it? I don't know, all I ate today was shepherd's pie that I made yesterday. I made shepherd's pie last night for dinner, so that's why I ate today. Some leftover shepherd's pie. That icing's pretty good. Well, icing glaze, whatever you want to call it. So that's what the finished product of these scones look like, and now I'm gonna go make the drink. Okay, we're making a pumpkin spice latte. You can add 2 cups of milk in, but I'm making, well, do you want any? No, you're not. Okay, I'm adding 2 cups of oat milk. I'm making with oat milk and almond milk. coffee is right there brewing. Well, cooking away. Like in this Italian espresso pot. Okay, it calls for 2 tablespoons, but I'm adding 4 in. Because I'm making 2 cups. This is good. I'll make another one tomorrow. You can make it iced too. Like if you want ice, you can add ice to your cup once this is all made. Some maple syrup in. To your liking, like how sweet you like to add some. And you can use other sugar too, but I'm using maple syrup. I can hear the coffee coming up. And 1 spoon of this. Vanilla in. So far I have milk, maple syrup, pumpkin puree, and pumpkin pie slice and vanilla in. And if you want ice, just add ice to your cup. Because I do like it iced and hot too for pumpkin spice. Last time I had. Okay, here's my drink. I don't really like it. I may make a different method next time, but if I make it tomorrow. But yeah, this is my drink. It's not really that good. But I do like pumpkin spice latte from like Starbucks. But this is maybe make it more sweeter next time. The coffee straight into the mixture when I make it on the stove. I think that'll make it taste better. Hopefully. Oh, recording on my phone now because my camera battery died. But the scones are really good. They're really good. Well, not really, really good, but they're good for being gluten-free and dairy-free. I wish I ate them when they were hot. When they came out when they were hot out of the oven. Well, I could heat them up in the microwave, but I don't know if the icing would stay on good. I don't know if the icing would stay on good, but they are yummy. So one thing today was a success. These scones were